4 teachers to be questioned for molestation allegation. South Korean police raided church in connection to Sunken Ferry. Hello, you're watching MNC Today with me, David Tobing. We start those headlines. We have more selected stories from across the country. We start today's news with information from Jakarta. Yes, Jakarta police will soon question 4 teachers of the Jakarta International School in connection to the alleged molestation of 2 students. Earlier, the deportation of 4 teachers was suspended.
The Jakarta police will soon question 4 teachers of the Jakarta International School as soon as they finish questioning 2 students who reported being victims of molestation. Victims' lawyers Michael Loa said the police are still conducting further investigation as response to the students' allegation that the implicated teachers of the international school.
Selama ini kita sangat-sangat menghargai, menghormati integritas dari Polda. Artinya kita sangat yakinlah Polda akan berhasil mengungkap apa saja yang terjadi masalah persoalan ini.
Meanwhile, the students are undergoing psychological rehabilitation with their parents' supervision. 5 suspects in the case are already in police custody. They are janitors who work at a victim school, the Jakarta International School. 4 foreign teachers are now implicated in the case.
Protesters have again urged the government to be more transparent in the graft-ridden scandal of the procurement of Transjakarta buses, which cost the state 1.5 trillion rupiah or $130 million in losses. Meanwhile, the Attorney General had been accused of political motivation in its investigation.
Protesters from the users of Transjakarta Bus Alliance or the Amanat Jakarta had held a rally urging the Jakarta government to explain to the public in regard to the graft-ridden scandal of the procurement of Transjakarta buses, which had cost the nation 1.5 trillion rupiah or $130 million in losses. Dubbed as the newly brought buses from China, a few months later were improper, rusty, and had broken components. According to protesters, the company that won the tender, Ifani Dewi, was not legit. Their office was merely a shophouse with only 2 employees in it, triggering suspicion. The company had ironically won such a large tender from the city worth hundreds of billions of rupiah. The Indonesian Forum for Budget Transparency or FITRA had urged the Attorney General to be transparent regarding the people who are probed in the Transjakarta bus procurement case and urged officials not to hide it from the public.
Untuk Pemprov DKI untuk mengembalikan bus Transjakarta pengadaan 2013 itu yang menjadi kasus ini kepada panitia pemenang lelangnya. Jadi bus itu sebaiknya dikembalikan karena setelah diperiksa semuanya itu bus itu kebanyakan bobrok, rusak. Jadi kita nggak layak beli bus Transjakarta dengan harga tinggi seperti itu.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General had been accused of political motivation in its investigation into the alleged corruption in the Transjakarta procurement process. So far, only the former head of the Jakarta Transportation Office, Udar Pristono, had been charged. However, Udar has claimed that officials higher up in the City Hall, including now inactive Jakarta Governor turned presidential candidate Joko Widodo, was aware of the alleged markups.
Agar Kejaksaan Agung memeriksa Pak Jokowi, kan itu deh. Sampai hari ini belum diperiksa. Kemudian dari statement kami waktu temu pers di Warung Daun itu sudah direspon begitu cepatnya oleh kuasa hukum Jokowi. Di situ Pak Tobing Mnc mengatakan bahwa kliennya bersedia untuk diperiksa. Nah, pertanyaannya kenapa belum diperiksa?
Udar was dismissed from his post by Joko Widodo in February. However, Udar has maintained his innocence and instead claimed he was acting under orders from his superiors and that the purchase of the buses was under Joko Widodo's responsibility.
Yes, since June the 1st, the Transjakarta bus system has been in operation 24 hours a day on 3 of its corridors. Transjakarta came up with the 24-hour service mostly to prevent illegal public transportation during the late evening.
The Transjakarta bus system is now in operation 24 hours a day on 3 of its corridors. The Blok M to Kota route, the Pinang Ranti to Pluit route, and the Kalideres to Pasar Baru route. The revision of the public transportation system's additional service were warmly welcomed by passengers who said the increased hours were long awaited due to absence of cheap, safe, and rapid transportation in the city at night.
Kosongan selama ini angkutan reguler kan dari jam 5 pagi sampai jam 22. Jadi untuk Amari kita mulai jam 22 ke jam 5. Jadi di 3 koridor ini berarti 24 jam.
Koridor mana aja, Pak?
Koridor 1, koridor 3, dan koridor 9.
Transjakarta has prepared 20 buses for the night service and will charge 3,500 rupiah per passenger, the same rate as weekdays. Transjakarta head Pergaulan Butar-Butar added that each corridor will get 6 buses while the other 2 will be used as reserves and not all bus stops along the corridors will be used during the night service. Corridor 1 is the main router in the center of the city, while corridors 3 and 9 ease the journey for commuters returning home. In order to prevent illegal public transportation during the late evening, Transjakarta has come up with the 24-hour service.
Kalau ada 48 jam, ya setuju.
Kenapa?
Setujunya kalau kayak saya ini kan ada kerja malam, jadi bisa pulang jam berapa aja. Saya kan kalau kerja pulang jam 2, jadi harus nunggu jam 5 pulang.
Setuju banget. Karena buat pulang orang kerja ya, biar nggak apa. Kadang kan kalau misalkan orang-orang pulang kerja tuh kadang sampai nggak kebagian bus ya, maksudnya sampai nggak ada angkot apa kendaraan.
Rasanya sih ya kaget sih, karena kan biasanya cuma bisa sampai jam 10 atau jam 11. Kebetulan arah yang 24 jam saya nggak lewat sih.
Seneng nggak?
Ya lumayan lah, mungkin kalau butuh kan jadinya nggak perlu naik taksi atau naik apa.
Currently, every Transjakarta bus stop is guarded by security. However, police officers will also deploy to the bus stops using the 24-hour service. If the one-week trial is successful, then Transjakarta will implement the 24-hour service in other corridors.
Inmates at the prison in Cirebon, West Java have found their own ticket to Brazil in the form of a football. They're helping produce the hundreds of thousands of souvenir balls set to the line the streets of Rio, Sao Paulo, and Manaus. It's part of a program designed to teach prisoners life skills before they're released. Maybe far from the green pitches of Brazil, but here at Cirebon Prison in Indonesia, inmates are taking part in their own way. While the country was unable to make it through their qualifying group to the finals, they found their own ticket to the World Cup in the form of footballs. FIFA-certified company Singaraja Santika Sport, or Triple S, are producing 1 million balls as souvenirs for the upcoming tournament. Some of them were manually made by prisoners from 2 West Java prisons. These 40 inmates in Cirebon prison were taught and trained to make high-quality footballs. The prisoners work for 6 hours every day from Monday to Saturday. Each of them receive $1 for every high-quality ball they produce.
Misi itu jadi mengadakan lapangan pekerjaan ya dan mengentaskan kemiskinan. Saya pun pernah selain lapas Cirebon tuh pernah menerima ada juga dari mana Cianjur gitu ya.
Indonesian law stipulates that correctional institutions must provide coaching and work training programs for their prisoners in order to prepare them for life on the outside.
para pengusaha-pengusaha daerah atau pengusaha-pengusaha nasional bisa invest ke lapas untuk memberdayakan tenaga narapidana. Sayang kalau misalnya tenaga itu tidak dimanfaatkan betul-betul. Dan memang kita kan win-win solution, sama-sama saling menguntungkan.
Triple S plan to increase their production in the coming years and add more prisoners to their work program.
Yes, just days from the FIFA World Cup in Brazil, footwear trends are taking off on and off the pitch. One Indonesian company is stepping out with a style of a sneaker with an Italian design and a firmly Indonesian feel.
Italy has long been famous for producing high-quality footwear. Major leather shoe brands started in Italian workshops before stocked and sold in fashion stores in big cities around the world. But Indonesians don't have to go that far. Workshop in an outskirt of Indonesia's capital Jakarta is producing Italian quality sneakers that supply international demand as well as Indonesian local stores. Some Are Thieves is a high-end sneakers brand created in 2011 by Enrico Nicolin, a Jakarta-based Italian designer who in the past 13 years has been cooperating with some of Italy's major fashion brands.
You can actually achieve things here that are difficult to achieve in other places, because once your workers, your operators, they understand what actually what you actually want.
The brand also has its own fashion cycle instead of following the European fashion cycle. It launches a fresh batch of styles every 2 months in series called capsules. The products now stock in trend-setting fashion stores in Milan, Copenhagen, Singapore, and Perth. Nicolin is currently in talks to stock the sneakers in fashion stores in Japan, Hong Kong, and other cities in Europe. Nicolin plans to take the Made in Indonesia brand to a global force to be recognized in the sneaker industry. The sneaker costs $100 to $150 in Indonesia, comparable to the price of casual streetwear Nike and Adidas shoes.
Coming up next, massive police raid on religious retreat in hunt for fugitive owner of Sunken Ferry. Stay with us.